Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Danielle Riley.
My name is Fitzgerald Smith.
And we're from the U of H Graduate School. We're going to be going over the application process, how to apply, some documentation that you'll need, and then we'll go over some FAQs at the end where we'll be answering some questions that you may have and some common questions that we receive here. So let's go ahead and get started on the actual presentation. Technical difficulties. Okay, so kind of more about the graduate school itself. So we actually have around 7 programs that are rated in the top 50 programs in the US according to News and World Report for 2019. 3 of these actually include some of our engineering programs. We are number 2 in the nation for online graduate programs and have over 20 fully online graduate degrees. So that's kind of some information about the graduate school in general. And then we thought we could go over some information about Houston as a city. Since Houston is the 4th largest city in the US, we're actually extremely diverse. We have over 145 languages that are spoken here in the city. We have the largest medical center in the world and over 24 Fortune 500 company headquarters. So this has actually been rated the #1 city in the US to start your career. And I'm sure that's no surprise due to the number of Fortune 500 company headquarters that we have here. Houston's a great city to live in, and like I mentioned before, is extremely diverse. So here's all the colleges and schools that are offered here at the University of Houston. You can see all the different colleges, and then mentioned at the bottom here, these actually are master's, doctoral, certificate, and then also dual degree programs. A list of all these programs can be found at the bottom of the screen here at this link. You'll actually see the graduate program, the deadline for whichever semester you're choosing to apply to, as well as some contact information for someone that you can reach out to. And we'll kind of explain a little bit more of that, when we get into our FAQs at the end of the presentation. So now I'm going to go over the application process, and here you can see kind of the steps that we're going to flow through. I'll start with where the application is located, and then kind of go in through the documents and test scores that are actually going to need to be uploaded to the online application. So the first step is just to actually start your application, and this can be found on the U of H Graduate School website. So here you can kind of see what you need to flow through to get there. It's going to actually be through admissions and then how to apply. And then you'll just need to click that Apply Now button, and it will actually lead to our online application system. So what's important to keep in mind about our application is that once it's actually been completed, you will need to pay the application fee. And this will need to be paid with a credit card at the time of application, or your application will not actually be submitted to the graduate school. These application fees do vary by program, so it's great to actually reach out to the program advisor, which is that contact I mentioned earlier on our contacts and admission deadline page on our website. So the next step, which would need to be filled out throughout our online application, would be to upload scanned copies of your academic transcripts. So for international students, a lot of times this will also include mark sheets, grade cards, result cards, or transcript if that's what the country of origin issues. Keep in mind that we will need English translations as well, and also graduation and degree certificates will need to be uploaded. We do actually have a couple of programs that require official documentation for admission purposes, which is our accountancy program and our communication sciences and disorders programs. Every other program here at U of H should be able to give you an admission decision just based on scanned copies of your actual academic documents. But do keep in mind that these scanned copies will need to be provided at the time that you fill out your application. So the next step is going to be submitting your actual test scores. It's important to keep in mind that we do require either the GRE or the GMAT for admission into the graduate school here at U of H. Any minimums that have been decided for these test scores are actually determined at the program level, so it's best to speak with the admissions advisor about what that minimum score would be. We don't have a minimum score here at the graduate school level. And then for international students, you would also need to provide some type of English language proficiency, which could be done through either the TOEFL or the IELTS. If you have received a bachelor's degree or higher from the US or from an English-speaking nation, you may qualify for a TOEFL waiver. Do keep in mind that it does have to be a bachelor's degree or higher, and that any high school coursework wouldn't be considered for this exception. And our school code for these test scores is going to be 6870. So some additional materials that our programs usually require: most of the time you'll need to provide 3 letters of recommendation, a resume or CV, as well as a personal statement. These letters of recommendation will actually be provided through the application system. When filling out the application, you'll provide the recommender's information, and then an email will actually be sent to them where they'll be directed to provide the recommendation letter for you and on your behalf. Some other program requirements that some of our programs ask for would be a writing sample as well as a portfolio. As we keep mentioning, it's really best to speak with the academic advisor or admissions advisor to ensure that you know all of the documentation that's necessary to fill out the application. And also something you might want to keep in mind when choosing a master's or a PhD, some of our PhD programs do require an interview with a faculty member. So here are some documents that our international applicants will need to provide in order to be issued an I-20 to come here and study in the US. These documents don't actually have to be uploaded at the time of filling out the application, but if you are admitted into one of our graduate programs, this needs to be uploaded as soon as possible. These documents include a copy of your passport, a letter of financial backing, as well as a bank statement. Some more information about this can be seen at the link at the bottom of the screen. And then you can always email us at our office directly at gradschool@uh.edu if you have any questions about what these documents should include. So it's important to keep in mind here at the University of Houston that deadlines and decisions are going to actually be determined by the program and not the graduate school. So that's why most of your questions will need to be directed to that admissions advisor. Since they will be the person making the actual decision, usually they have the most information about what's required and then when that decision will actually be made. At the time that an admission decision is made, you'll receive an email notifying you to log back into your application, where you'll actually be able to see what decision has been determined. And then keep in mind, like we've been saying, on our website, that contacts and deadlines page is where you'll actually find all of our programs listed, as well as deadlines, and then admissions advisors or admissions counselors, what their contact information actually is. So here are some common questions that we receive in our office when filling out the application. We'll kind of go through some of these general questions and then take any maybe more specific questions about you or the specific case that you're dealing with at the end of the presentation. But just some common questions would be, how long will it take for the program to receive my application? Keep in mind that we all have access to the same system. So once you actually fill out that application, our office, as well as the actual program that you're applying to, will be able to review it, but it could take 3 to 5 business days for that to actually be received by the program and acknowledged. So if you have submitted your application and then you've waited this length of time and you want to ensure that maybe you've submitted all of your documents or something like that, which this kind of falls into the next question, but you're able to log back into your application and actually check on that through your checklist, or you can always reach out to that program advisor contact to ensure that you've uploaded all the necessary materials. So here, just mentioning that second question, what is the status of my application? You can actually log back in, like I just mentioned, and in your checklist, it will actually let you know kind of where you're at, and then as well, any documentation that you're missing or that additionally needs to be uploaded. So we've kind of already hit on this, but it's good to reiterate. When will I be receiving the application decision? So decisions are actually determined by the program, as I've said before, and not us here at the graduate school. So if you'd like information on what that program's review process looks like or how long it usually takes, you'll need to reach out to that admissions advisor. And then finally, what do I do if I only have one copy of my transcript? This is a common question that we receive here at the graduate school, especially from international students. So keep in mind that we actually do have the ability to make a certified copy of your original document, but it would need to be an original document. So if you're coming from an institution that issues more than one, then we would actually need to receive the additional copy in a sealed and stamped envelope. And if anyone has any specific questions about that, we can kind of answer those here in the next section. So just to kind of wrap everything up, hopefully we didn't go through things too quickly. Here's some useful links and locations for you to be aware of. So here at the U of H Graduate School, we're actually going to be located in room 102 in the E. Cullen building on campus. But if you do have any questions that arise or would like any information before you're on our campus, our website is listed there. And then here you can see you can contact us at gradschool@uh.edu. And here we should be able to answer kind of any questions that you have or redirect you to anyone else that you would need to speak with. But it's important to keep in mind that really your best point of contact when it's applying to the graduate school at the University of Houston, you really should be speaking with your program advisor. They'll be able to provide the most information about deadlines, review processes, documentation needed, and really any kind of detail specific information you need about getting accepted into the graduate school at U of H. So that's kind of the end of our presentation. We're now going to go through just some FAQs, see if you have any questions for us. And if not, then yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's see. If anyone has any questions for us, let us know. Hopefully that wasn't too fast or too much of a brief overview of the application process. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Fitz, can you think of any kind of general information or general questions we get before going into that?
Well, many international applicants always ask, well, what if I cannot get my final transcript, or in the case of Indian students, mark sheets in time before enrollment? What then?
What if my school takes a long time to issue official documents? Okay, that's a great question. So it actually does come up where we have students, from certain parts of the world that do ask us that question. Since official documentation is not actually needed for most of our programs for an admission decision, that actually isn't something that should affect you getting admitted into a graduate program. Here at U of H, it would really only affect you enrolling in courses, before you could actually start here. And that would be something that we would be working through just to ensure that you would be able to enroll on time and enroll in the classes you'd like to be enrolling in. But that would be something that we could work through at a later date.
That's a very common occurrence.
I think a common thing sometimes that happens is students actually get worried that we're saying you only need scanned copies of documents, and then they'll actually either mail in their original document or degree certificate. So that's actually not something that we need to make an admission decision. Please do not do that. We keep it here on file and we don't write on it or anything, but those things do get lost in the mail. So please don't send us any original documentation through the mail. Just upload scans of that to your online application.
Keep in mind when we say official documents, they have to be issued by the university, of course, signed by the registrar, designated school official. But as Daniel was saying, that we do not actually need the final document. Please just upload a scan of that document. And most colleges here do use that to make an admissions decision.
Yeah, and please upload translations as well.
Yeah.
That's something commonly, we're actually going to be the people that are messaging with you back and forth and sending emails, about missing academic documentation. And so, you can avoid kind of having to go through those additional steps and uploading additional materials later if you just upload all of your translations and then original language documents in the beginning. And that'll really kind of ensure, a faster admission decision and then review process, because that really only delays the program making an admission decision.
Okay. What is the normal time for PhD to give a decision? For example, a deadline for submission is 1st April.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. That's a really good question, and that's a question that we actually get a lot. So the review process at the PhD level kind of varies throughout our different graduate programs. Some of the review process can actually start before the deadline, where they actually start reviewing applications as they come in. And then some of our programs wait till after the deadline to actually start reviewing and narrowing down applicants. So that's actually something that's going to vary, which is why we kind of keep reiterating talking to the admissions advisor, which you can find on our webpage. And we can also take the time to show you that now, if that would be helpful. If you have a specific program in mind that you're looking for, we can kind of redirect you, or you can always send us an email at gradschool@uh.edu so we can kind of give you more information. But that's a great question. It's probably the question that we get asked the most often. But yeah, it really just varies program to program on how they take on that review process. That's a really great question. Yeah, so we can go ahead and show you that link. I think we have that link. As I was saying, you can kind of follow, what the route would be here. And you can see if you just go to the admissions and then contacts and deadlines, you'll actually be led to this page where all of our colleges are listed. And then if you were to actually click on one of these, like let's say you wanted to do a program in engineering, you'd click here on the engineering college, and then you would see all of the programs that we actually offer. So you can see here that we actually have what the program would be, the actual degree that you would receive, which most cases here is going to be a Master of Science or a PhD. You'll see their fall deadline, their spring deadline. Can I not scroll over?
Go at the top.
There's no right.
Go to the three dots.
And they're small for you to be able to read. But you can see here this contact, it will actually give you the person's name, where if you click on it, it'll take you directly to their email. And then some of them actually have a number listed as well, where you can actually give them a call and talk to them about any issues that you're having or questions that you have about the specific program. If you don't feel comfortable reaching out to them directly, you could always just email us at gradschool@uh.edu, and we can kind of forward your email on to them or try to answer your question if we're able to. But I would really advise contacting the program advisor directly, since they will have the most detailed information about how to apply and what the program is actually looking for. So hopefully that was helpful. Do we have any other questions? Yeah. So let's see.
It says, is fall intake going to be in September? Any chance I can start PhD earlier?
So for fall 2018, most of our programs have closed. If you are interested in starting this fall, I would reach out to the program directly to try to talk to them, because there are some special cases where they're still opening their application and letting some people apply. But for the most part, our application is closed. So if you wanted to actually start in the fall, you would have to apply for fall 2019. You could apply for spring 2019, which means you would start next January. But if you are interested in starting this August, which is when classes start here at the University of Houston, you would need to be talking to an admission advisor kind of as soon as possible. Hopefully that kind of clarifies. At this point, you wouldn't be able to start earlier than this August. That's kind of our next intake. And then January would be the next intake after that. And some of our PhD programs actually don't have spring admission. They only have fall admission. So that's why this page is a great resource for you to realize, when those deadlines are, and then when are they actually going to be available for you to start. So we also have, if you know specifically kind of what program you're interested in, We do actually have, I can show you this. This is kind of our how to apply, which kind of goes through the different, some different steps like we went through in the presentation. And this is kind of our apply now, where you would actually apply, just so that you can actually see what that looks like live as well. And then also, if you kind of don't know where to start, you can request more information from us, where we will kind of send you some links to specific program information, which just kind of gives you some general information if you haven't really decided what you'd like to study. But then we actually do have a contact us page as well, where this actually, if you fill out this form, where you can kind of say your email, what kind of question you might have, details of that question, and then what kind of category it falls in. This will actually go directly into our email, where everyone in our office has access to it, and we'll try to answer it within 2 business days. If not, and it's a question that's kind of more advised for a program advisor, then we'll redirect that question to them so they can kind of give you more detailed information. So that's kind of, and then I guess it might be kind of good, since we're already here, to go through our transcript information, that we keep referring to. So here you'll find information on what documents need to be uploaded. Do keep in mind that we don't accept outside evaluations. I don't really think I mentioned that earlier, but it's something really great to point out. So anything from WES, SpanTran, anything like that that's an outside evaluation company, we actually do not accept that. So please do not waste the money. We do all international evaluations in-house here at the graduate school, so we will not be reviewing any outside evaluations. And then here are just some general guidelines that we have, showing that we need a transcript and a degree, certificate, or diploma in both English and the original language. And then here at the bottom, we kind of have our top sending countries. And then we have where you can actually click on the country if you are from one of these places, and it will actually give you kind of detailed information as to what you need to provide. So this is a great resource because, like we mentioned before, we kind of email students back and forth about documentation that's missing when they're actually going through the application process. So please make sure that you're checking here, that you understand what needs to be uploaded, and then always, if you have any questions, then you can kind of go to this contact us page like I just mentioned, and we can always clarify exactly what needs to be uploaded. So I guess if that's kind of all the questions that we have, that's kind of most of our general information. Like we've said, you can go to the contact us page and follow up with any questions, if you felt uncomfortable or something and you didn't really want to address it here, or, if you're seeing this at a later date, just let us know if any questions come up, and, thanks for joining us today.
Great.
Do you have anything else, Fitz?
And of course, you can always forward all your questions to gradschool@uh.edu. Okay, we'll be sure to follow up with you within 24 to 48 hours. Okay.
Okay, thanks everyone.
All right. Bye.